It's your personality, EA. It's your tour guide, EA. It's whatever you want to call me, but call me EA. Let's roll. Are you kidding me?
Yo, Analyze This in Justice series. Got a special guest today, Mr. Clayborn Collins, former CEO, Emanuel Community Services. It's dope. It's dope, people. I wanted to sit down with you, first of all, because the commercial media, they have a way with, making us look like we don't know what we're doing.
Clayborn Collins, seen here in a 2012 interview with KGW, served as chief executive of Emanuel Community General Services. The Portland nonprofit helped deal with domestic violence, gangs, and at-risk youth.
And our approach is to approach us through love, let these kids know and let people know that we're concerned about our community.
But now the 50-year-old is charged with aggravated theft. Collins is accused of embezzling nearly $70,000 from the nonprofit.
I wanted to take this opportunity to give you an opportunity to speak, tell your side of the story.
Man, first of all, Em, I appreciate the opportunity to come on the show.
Absolutely.
And talk about this is the first time I've talked about this since this whole thing started.
Man, I'm honored. I'm honored that you're here.
And, so I wanted to just kind of clear the air. Mm-hmm. And people ask me, well, why haven't you spoken out? Why haven't you done a Facebook post or something about, your innocence? Well, this whole thing is not really about innocence or guilt as much as it is. I want to tell a story about how did I get here?
How did you get here?
About 15 years ago, Bishop A.A. Wells called me up and told me that they were having a hard time with a lease agreement with the tower they had on the church. So at Emanuel Church, there was, they had just built the church, but Emanuel Church was renting some space to T-Mobile.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And so there was a company called Wireless Capital Partners that came in and wanted to buy up the lease.
Oh.
So
15 years ago.
About 15 years ago.
Okay.
So that's how I got to the church. Bishop A.A. called me and asked me to come and negotiate the lease. The sale of the lease.
Okay, so what is your background? Are you a negotiator? Or what?
No. I would just happen to be a community business owner. I owned a security guard company at the time.
Okay.
A property management company, and just in the community.
Right.
And so I came, did that. Took me about two months to do it. They paid me $1,000 to do it, and which was cool. And after I did that, and at the time I was doing mortgages. I was doing mortgages as well. I was doing mortgage loans and
everything.
Stuff. So,
you doing everything.
So while doing that, Bishop had explained to me at the time that they were having a problem with the church. The church had did a bad loan with a company, and the mortgage payment was going to go from like $15,000 a month to like $40,000 a month.
Ooh.
So.
And that time, 15 years ago, that's crucial.
So my first job or my first assignment at the church was to find the church a mortgage.
Okay.
So I came in, it took me a year or so, helped the church with their financials, getting their financials in order, helping them to get their financials in order enough to qualify for a loan. So that's how I came to the church.
Okay.
And all the while that I was doing that, the Emanuel Community Services that was headed up by Robert Richardson was having some issues as well. Mm-hmm. So I took over the helm at Emanuel Community Services.
Okay.
Getting contracts, doing some public service work, and along with the help of Robert Richardson and other folks that were there, we were able to build Emanuel Community Services up and started getting grant money. Mm-hmm. A few years later, started getting grant money, started being able to provide services in the prisons, and so Rob has always been in the prisons. I was doing some service work at parole and probation office.
Right, I do remember you.
Working with the folks on young folks on parole and probation, doing gang outreach work. We put on several concerts to raise money to bring awareness to the gang outreach services we were doing. And about 5 years ago, we had a contract with the county that was coming to an end.
Oh, so the county contract was housing. It was some housing?
It was doing MRT.
Okay.
We was doing MRT with the parole and probation folks, and that contract was coming to an end in August.
Okay.
And so we were going to get the last check in August, which meant if the last check comes in August, that means my last check is when? In August. I had this building.
Okay.
I had a building with all these empty rooms, What was I gonna do? And the Lord put it on my heart. Me and one of my people that was working with me, that was working for me, we went to the DHS office, and I talked to someone at DHS and got a contract for the building almost on the spot.
Okay.
A $300,000 a year contract on the spot.
Doing what?
Providing housing for women who were at risk of losing their children.
And you got that based on your relationship that you already had.
A relationship I already had, yeah.
Right. So that one was ending. You were deciding to, based on just a conversation with God, I'm finna go into a whole nother lane.
So with that money, we were still able to provide services to the community through, drug and alcohol training, services and everything else. And,
Right.
gang outreach services. And so, which that started a nice little run for us. We had money coming in. We were able to do some things that we couldn't otherwise afford to do. Had a strong disagreement with the mayor because,
Who was the mayor at the time?
Charles Hales.
Oh, Charlie Hales.
Charlie Hales.
Okay,
so Charlie Hales was the mayor, and one of the things that I was a strong advocate for was that the piece of property on the corner of MLK and Alberta.
Oh, okay.
Remember,
open house now. Okay.
So that was a big. I was a strong advocate in that they acquired that land, one through a program that was supposed to empower the black community.
You don't say.
So they wrote a grant. The city wrote a grant. Charles Hale sponsored a grant to the feds that got money to empower that whole the empowerment zone.
That's what they was calling it.
Yeah, it was called the empowerment zone. So, so this money was supposed to release money for black entrepreneurship, black economic development. It's supposed to release money for education in the black community, all host of things, right? So all these years later, about 20 years later, all they did with that money was acquire all the land in the community, and they helped move out to help promote gentrification and move all the black folks out.
So basically, if I hear you correctly, this pretty much started with you standing up for us. You know what I'm saying? And then once you started standing up for us too much, they found a way to get rid of you.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? They found a way to
trying to call themselves silencing me.
Right, silencing you. Yes.
And so
how did that start? How did that? What actually happened? What was the actual, the meat and potatoes of what the charge is? Like, what are they saying you did?
So they're saying, so this is what happened. I was one who negotiated the sale. The lease agreement at the hotel.
Okay.
I turned it into a money-making venture. I think the organization was clocking somewhere in the neighborhood of about $10,000 a week.
We turned it into
a business. We're clocking about $10,000 a week. I gotta give some credit to the trustee board at the church.
Okay.
Some of the trustee board members put up $1,000, so we needed $9,000 to start.
Okay.
So they raised the $9,000 through the trustee board members putting up $1,000 a piece. The owner signed a long-term, 3-year lease. Signed a 5-year lease with a 3-year purchase option. So it's on a 3-year purchase option. So after 3 years, we had done the services for women and children. That was a 2-year contract. After that, we started working with homeless veterans and homeless folks that were designated as chronic homelessness.
Okay.
So we started a program to stop chronic homelessness.
Okay.
So we got money from Central City Concern, from the Veteran Administration, Life Work. A whole bunch of different organizations would send their people to our shelter, and they were paying $1,000 a month for the rooms.
Oh, okay. I'm catching up. So
they were paying $1,000 a month for the room.
Okay.
And now at the same time, I played a dual role. I was the chief executive officer of Emanuel Community Services, but I was also the church administrator for Emanuel Church. So at the church, while I was doing all the stuff for Emanuel Community Services, I was still looking for a new home for our loan at Emanuel Church.
Okay.
So the Emanuel Community Services paid me an okay wage, but I was also supposed to be getting a stipend from the church.
Right.
Well, I never received it. The stipend from the church went to Emanuel Community Services. It kept showing up in the bill, so I was never receiving the money.
Right.
In the
right.
church.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So I did find a deal. I negotiated the deal to the whole South Campus to sell the South Campus and help pay off some of the church debt so that the church can actually be financially secure. So that was my whole mission when I came to the church in the first place. God's mission for me was to help the church become financially stable.
Right.
And I negotiated a forbearance agreement with Key Bank so that they wouldn't foreclose on the church for about almost a year. So during this time, the church's property was kind of had some issues with the title. So I did all the legwork and created the opportunity for the church to get the land free and clear and separate the church from the South Campus so they could sell the South Campus. And so Bishop CT and I had talked about my compensation for that. And the whole time I was like, well, Bishop, you can't really think that I'm going to be doing all of this work. I'm working 14, 15 hours a day with ECS and the church for $1,000 a month.
For $1,000 a month.
For $1,000 a month. That I would even get. So he and I talked about that. I said I wanted 2% of the loan amount, which was standard fee.
That's the standard fee.
A standard fee of 2% of the loan amount. And the thing was, he never agreed to it, but allowed me to keep doing the work.
You told him what you wanted.
So when the church loan was all said and done, and they signed on the dotted line, and the church was saved, and everyone was in hallelujah.
Right.
The church was no longer in danger of being foreclosed on because they were really close to losing the building. So when they were no longer in a position to lose the building, and it was time for everyone to get paid, they gave me a check for $10,000. I said, well, this is a lot less than you agreed to give me.
As far as the 2%.
As far as 2%. So they owed me $32,000. So the loan amount was like $3.2 million. That's all together. It's like $32,000 is what he was going to give me. So it wasn't 2%, it was 1%.
Okay.
Then he said, well, so the church is going to get the money in two phases. The first phase, they got $1.5 million. The other phase, they were going to get the other $1.5 million when the South Campus, when the old church sold. And so it was a kind of complicated deal, but nevertheless, they owed me $32,000. He gave me $15,000, said he'd give me the rest. No, he said I'd be blessed for the rest.
Whoa.
And I'm going to be
if
blessed.
you have an agreement, business is going to always be business. Like if you come in, you working 14, 15 hours a day.
Let me tell you, Bishop CT was very clever in getting me to do the work because he knew I was dedicated. Right? But he never, and I say this, because my thing was, I ain't never going to lie on you, but I ain't going to lie for you.
Righteous.
Right?
Righteous.
Bishop, and I can say, Bishop never said, okay, I'm going to give you the 2%. He just said, well, we'll talk about it. He kept saying, we'll talk about it. We'll work it out. We'll talk about it. But never. And so when it was all said and done, I asked him about my money. He said, well, I never said I'd give you the money. See, so for me, that was a punk move.
Right.
And he got me to do
because
the
you
work.
kept doing the work.
I kept doing the work, and I accomplished the goal. I went above and beyond. So right now, he's established a history with me of not keeping his word. We were coming up on 3 years with the shelter. We were past 3 years of the shelter with the hotel, and
so you converted the hotel into a shelter.
Into a shelter.
Okay.
I was the first person in the state of Oregon to actually do that.
Okay.
We've been doing this now for about 3.5, almost 4 years, I guess, close to, and it was really kind of becoming really monotonous. We weren't really a management company. I wasn't trying to be a management company because all we were doing now was just managing this apartment building. I mean, the hotel,
middlemaning,
like an apartment building, and I wanted to get out of it. Andrew Clark was the person. I think he passed himself off as the owner or managing partner of Hugh Development.
Okay.
So Andrew Clark was going to. He said, "Well, tell you what. We will give you." He said, "We'll give you $1.1 million for the hotel, and we'll give you, Clayborn, $50,000 as a finder's fee." I was like, "Okay, I'll take the $50,000 finder's fee. We'll do the $1.1 million deal." Bishop signed off on the $1.1 million deal, knowing the ECS wasn't going to get any money. So this was the deal. We had a prearranged purchase price for the hotel with the owners.
Okay.
That was $700,000, $750,000.
Ooh, good deal.
So Andrew, people were going to buy it for $1,050,000, which is going to leave Emanuel Community Services with $300,000.
I'm seeing it.
So
I'm following.
I thought this was going to be a good deal. Everybody comes out great. Now, when it came time to execute the sale agreement, the owners, recognizing that the hotel now was worth a lot more money than it was in the beginning,
Y'all didn't fix
would
them up.
not honor the sale agreement. I mean, the lease agreement.
Oh.
So I went back to Bishop and was like, well, Bishop, we can take them to court and make them honor the sale agreement.
Right. They had it in writing.
And we had it in writing. Bishop's comment to me was, they've been too good to us. I don't want to take them to court. I'm like, for real? Really? The church started out giving me $500 a month.
And you did it out of the kindness of your heart.
Out of the kindness of my heart. No, actually, I did it because I was following instructions that I was given by God. He told me to go to the church and help the church become financially secure. That was my whole mission.
Okay, so
And
that
in
was the
mean-
mission. You did it. You completed it. You did well at it. So how did it turn from you doing God's work, building the community, giving jobs, giving hope to people, to them now accusing you?
This what I was getting to. Andrew Clark said to me, he said, well, we'll give you a $50,000, I'll negotiate a $50,000 finder's fee.
Sounds good to me.
And which I was okay with that. So now I'm in a position now to where I negotiated the sale. I was able to negotiate the sale, the price down to $1,050,000 to the owners. So they agreed to $1,050,000.
So basically, you wasn't making nothing.
So basically, the ECS wasn't making anything, right? But I was still gonna get my $50,000 finder's fee.
Okay.
So in the meantime, it was taking so long for them to do that. I asked Andrew Clark for $20,000 more for ECS to pay some of their bills, and so Ricky Murchison, who was one of the church trustees, was able to let ECS borrow money to make payroll a couple times, and so I'd asked Andrew Clark to give us the money to pay him back and some other bills that we needed to catch up on. So he gave the church, he gave ECS an additional $20,000.
Okay.
So
Based on your efforts.
based on my effort,
More work.
more work. Now, the church hadn't done anything, ECS hadn't done anything to raise this $70,000. So they got the money, so we finally got the $70,000. So when Andrew Clark was like, okay, Clayborn, I can't give you the check for $70,000. I have to give the check to ECS because ECS's name is on the lease, and you have to work out how to get paid through ECS. So I didn't. So folks asked me, said, well, why didn't you go to Bishop and ask him? Well, he had already shown to me that I couldn't trust him, right? I couldn't trust him to do what was fair to me.
Right.
He's unwilling to do what was right for what was fair to him and the church. So now here's my dilemma. The $70,000 is in the bank that Andrew Clark told me he would get. He got two checks for $35,000 apiece. So that's $70,000. It was my money. So I only took $50,000, EA, which was my money.
No trips to Hawaii. No trips to.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No. I used the $20,000 for what it was designed to be used for. The $50,000 was my money. I took my 50. So
Sounds good to me.
So when I took my 50, I was called on the carpet about it. I told Bishop what happened. I told him I took my money. It was my money to take. He said, no, it wasn't. You had no reason to take the money. No right to take the money. I said, well, it was a difference of opinion. So, so that's when I left ECS.
Okay.
So anyway, I left. A couple of months later, opportunity presented itself in California. I went to California. I get a phone call out the blue from a detective with the Portland Police Bureau. I forget her name. She called me up and said, hey, I'm investigating a theft. And this is about a year later, almost a year later. I'm investigating a theft.
Wow.
that you stole $70,000 from Emanuel Community Services. And I was like, no. I tried to explain to her what happened. She wasn't buying it. She was like, no, because she was already tainted by Bishop.
So tell me really like the ins and outs, like how did they go from, you know, like you serving the community, doing your thing, making things happen, changing lives, to now all of a sudden they saying that you took something from them.
Well, that's interesting you said that, EA. One of the things that happened in our meeting with Bishop, Bishop said to me, he said, this is as far as it's going to go.
Okay.
So this is what they did. They somehow thought that they got the bright idea, well, if we file an insurance claim, we can get the money back through the insurance company. So they contacted the insurance company. The insurance company said that, well, we can't give you a claim unless you file criminal charges.
Huh.
Oh no, unless you get a police report.
Right.
So that's when Dr. Alvey contacted the police.
Wow.
The police came out and they did a police report, and that's how the police report led to where we are now.
Wow.
They investigated it and
for an insurance claim.
For an insurance claim. I had the contract from Andrew Clark.
Okay.
Outlining where the $70,000 was going. 20 to the ECS, 50 to me. I even had this contract. I even showed this contract to Bishop. Bishop refused to even look at it. At any point in time, Bishop could have gone to the DA and told the DA, we don't want to press charges. It even went to the trustee board. The trustee board directed Bishop to squash it because of everything I've done for the church.
So do you honestly believe that it was actually Bishop that led the crusade?
I think it was Bishop who refused, one, to go to the DA and say we don't want to press charges. I think it was Bishop who, Bishop did say to me, I don't want to sue those people because they've been good to us, but yet he was the one who wanted me to prosecute it.
Right. You put in a lot of work for you to be able to, you know what I'm saying, for you to end up in this position, you know, because the moral to the story for me is, you know, it sounds like to me, and this is why I wanted to sit down with you, because it seems like we have two African-American people again, divided, and we got the Justice Department in the middle that's just shoveling, you know, for lack of a better word, shoveling on top of it, fueling the fire, you know, further dividing us, because now that's where we at now. So how you feeling today? How you feeling today?
I'm not bitter. I think it just takes time for people to find out how people really are. I think there's some serious issues in our community with the brick and mortar church. When you have black people actually worshiping a building more so than God, and they're saying how important the building is. The building isn't important. I went through a period of time where I felt betrayed by the body of Christ. I felt betrayed by the church. I felt betrayed by Bishop. I felt betrayed by all the people and all this work that I had done.
Man.
But at the end of the day, and this is what I say, EA, at the end of the day, I took the money because it was my money.
Right.
The issue.
Cheers.
The issue.
Sounds like it. It definitely sounds like it.
The issue was how I took the money, because I didn't trust Bishop to give me the money that was due me. This one thing I've learned: the word bishop and integrity are supposed to be synonymous.
Hey.
Right?
Amen.
Not in this case.
You decided to take a deal instead of.
Well, this is
fighting.
EA. This is the thing for me was, if there was a 50% chance that I could go free, or 50% chance that I would go to prison, and for me to buy the 50% chance to go free for $10,000 and restitution for $60,000, that's the deal I took.
Righteous.
And 3 years probation.
Righteous. So do you care now that you took it? Do you have any kind of like remorse or regret? Because when you took it, to some people that automatically puts you at a guilty, you know, it makes you guilty. Just automatically, like the story.
Well, I took my own money.
So you are guilty of taking your own money. I'm
guilty of taking my own money that I made, the opportunity that I created.
Absolutely. For me, I have like you said, there's a problem in the community and in the culture, right? Because like we shouldn't be associating church money in jail together. You know what I'm saying? It just, and what's worse, our African American community has been affected by this. Like the women that you guys were servicing, that community, that whole program is gone now. Use me as the messenger, right? God's telling me to tell you this. You don't need to worry about the job. You are the job. You're 52 years old. You got a lot of experience. You got tons of relationships, I assume. Mm-hmm. Man, open up your own bag, man. All these businesses, you are the business. Create your own. Be a consultant. Have people call you, because, I mean, for a man that can negotiate mortgages the way you did without a degree, I don't know what your degree, I don't know what your education level is, but you wasn't in business doing that. Somebody gave you a business, right. Put you to work that way. So obviously you invented yourself that way. Reinvent yourself. We was talking off the record about, some of the work that you've done after the church. Right. Man, you good. Don't worry about it. Just keep your faith and keep believing. That's most important. If you don't believe, then it ain't gonna happen. You know what I'm saying? You taking that deal, just kind of like, it set us back even further. No one fights for the right, the side of justice. You, like, based on your story, what you're telling me, that I would have fought that. I'm a martyr for the system. I done done too much time. I'm not rolling over playing dead for none of that. They're gonna have to just come visit me, period. Because I refuse to let you slander me. With all that you got built up, man, you worked, you did. I remember you in the community. I've seen your work. I witnessed it. $50,000? That's it? I said $500,000. I can say, okay, yeah, maybe he's got some going. $50,000. That's a yearly wage for an average person working at a real job. You know what I'm saying? Get your own business, man. Don't ever work for another person in life. For real, like, you don't have to. You don't have to ever show your record to nobody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's real. You've already built your city. Now it's time for you to just rule like a ruler, man. That's why this happened for you, because you wouldn't have probably did this if you wouldn't have happened. You probably would have went to work for somebody else again. And
right.
Again
so
and again,
I guess one of the things, like you said, that, you get stuck in your comfort zone, and folks who don't want to get uncomfortable will stay stuck in the comfort zone.
Absolutely.
And so I think everything does happen for a reason.
Absolutely.
And so I
that was the message for you. The glass stays half full with me. When I read everything, I read the article. I've heard your story. Man, this is a blessing, man. Like, that was killing you. That wasn't giving you the good energy that you were supposed to be having to bless others. You're a God-fearing man, bro. I hope this conversation encourages you.
Oh yeah,
at the end of the night,
good, man.
At the end of the night, you can find whatever, bro. It's like all you gotta do is pick up the phone. There's people that still have your back.
I do appreciate the the opportunity to come out and tell my story. And at the end of the day, things may be a little weird right now for me, but it's gonna be all right. I do have faith in God.
Oh, yeah. Any final words for you?
Yeah, I would just say, God doesn't put you through more than you can handle, and I've certainly been tested. My wife and the relationship has been tested, but we've stood the test of time, and we stood the test of circumstances.
If nobody else commends you, bro, I'm bigging you up. You put 15 years in this community that's like lost, and you try to be a light. You know what I'm saying? Right. So for me, I applaud your efforts, bro. Like, I don't have a heaven or hell to put nobody in. So I'm not passing judgment. So I didn't want to sit down with you to even offer an opinion or judgment. I wanted to give you an opportunity to be a voice, to tell somebody else that's probably in the same position as you. Because, religion and churches and money and scandals, man, it seems like they go hand in hand right now. So, it was a pleasure sitting down with you, bro.
Appreciate it, man.
Anything that Analyze This or myself could ever do for you, man, don't hesitate to call.
Appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Yo, Analyze This. Subscribe. I need all my people to subscribe. I need you to subscribe to that. Sky's the limit, people. Let's go.